Is it just me, or do flat earthers get dumber the longer they believe this bullshit?
They're trying to keep the truth from us. It's the same thing. It's the same sort of a movement like the flat earth idiots who, and look, I'm sorry if that offends you or hurts your feelings, but look, get over it.
Dumbest people in the entire world. And you know what? This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, we hear it all. We know. We are so dumb. Just a bunch of morons saying the dumbest things people have ever heard. I mean, how can anyone believe that the earth is flat? I mean, how can somebody be so stupid? Well, with 3 easy words, I'm about to change that. I'm going to save a little face here. I'm about to tell you one of the main reasons that the globe model just doesn't match our reality. So call me retarded all you want. I heavily disagree, though, because of these 3 words. We see too far. Let's take a look, shall we? Thanks for joining me. This is Jeranism.
Guidance is internal. Ignition sequence start. 3, 2, 1.
Houston, we have a problem.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
You can tell it's real because it looks so fake. 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 Because it looks so fake.
What's going on, everyone? It's Jeran from Jeranism here with a short video for you. And yes, I'm fully aware that it's not 3 words. You thought you caught me slipping, huh? Sorry, Jack. Not gonna happen. So let's take a look at these 5 very important words we see too far. To begin, let's take a look at this PDF. Very interesting document here. The link is in the description. And a big thank you to Ian Leahy for bringing it to my attention. The title of the PDF is Pub 200, Sailing Directions, Planning Guide, and En Route, Antarctica, prepared and published by the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, copyright the United States government. This is the 11th edition, the 2017 document. Let's see, we're going to go to page 54, and we're going to take a look at something interesting here. We're going to look under optical phenomena. And it says, optical phenomena are common in the region to the south of the 50° south marker, and their frequency reaches a maximum in Antarctica. These phenomena, whose appearance range from intricate geometric patterns to colorful electrical displays, are associated with the refraction, reflection, or diffraction of light and electromagnetic activity. There is almost no dust or solid particles in the Antarctic air, and the prevailing winds blowing off the continent have small moisture content. Consequently, the visibility is usually very good and often exceptional, a fact which, if not appreciated, may lead the observer into serious error when judging distances. An object which may be thought to be but 5 miles distant could well be 30 miles away, and mountains have been sighted at 300 miles. Let's read that last sentence again. An object which may be thought to be but 5 miles distant could well be 30 miles away, and mountains have been sighted at 300 miles. Let me just say right here for the record that if anybody can see mountains 300 miles away, then the globe Earth is done, which we've said so many times. But you'll allow excuses. If you do allow those excuses, then expect them, because that's how they've gotten away with this for 60 years. Think about what's being said here. If we can see mountains at 300 miles in the distance, let's start out with the highest point on Antarctica. So we're giving them every credit we can possibly give them. They're at the highest point in Antarctica, which is 4,897 meters or 16,066 feet. So they're at the absolute highest point, and they're looking off in the distance to see 300 miles away. And when we punch that into the calculator, we get about 13,000 feet of hidden curvature. So they're already over 3 miles high. And again, if they're looking at any mountains 300 miles away, then they are all far too short to be seen. They have to be behind the curve. So this is where we run into problems, and it gets much worse, because that we just took at 16,066 feet. Let's bring it down and say they're on a boat. The name of the PDF, or the title of the PDF, was the sailing directions. So they've given some information for sailing directions saying that people seen mountains at 300 miles. So if that's true, then we really need to pay attention here, because what that means, let's put that into the curvature calculator. And what do you know, with 10 feet observer height, looking at 300 miles, you would have over 11 miles of curvature. ladies and gentlemen, there is no mountains over 11 miles or anywhere close that are going to be seen in Antarctica from over 300 miles away, or 300 miles, or 250. We can see that is 58,397 feet. Let's change it to 100 feet. It's a very large boat now. And when we do that, we get a total of 55,000, still 10 miles behind the curve. It's simply impossible and obvious what's going on here. I wanted to show you a website that you can go to. It's called beyondhorizons.eu. If you head over there, it's people who are taking pictures of extremely long distances. You need to do the same. Get out and do your own tests, do your own research, because when you do observe mountains at 120 miles, at 150 miles, 160 miles, then you have no more reason to believe in a globe. It's impossible. What you have to believe is you have to then take the words of men who say that for some unknown reason, the sun is lifting mountains up off into the distance from behind the curve, which has never been proven, which has never been shown. There's no test, there's no experiment that can show it. It's just men's words. That mountains get lifted up, and it's not like they float up in the sky, or sometimes they're a little bit wavy and they're distorted and it's a mirage. No. These are complete mountain chains sitting at the horizon. So while you may call flat earthers idiots and you may call them morons, it is not flat earthers that are believing in the levitation of mountains. In the 11-mile high, 55,000 foot levitation of entire mountain chains for the sole purpose of displaying them for you at the point of the horizon. No flat earther believes that. However, if you're a globe earther, that's what you believe. That's what you trust. That's what you've put your faith in, that's what's going on. And when it comes to refraction, it doesn't even matter whether they need it to bend up or to bend down. They'll just say whatever they need to say at that particular moment. And another thing that I can't say enough is that you need to recognize why waiting for mainstream to come out with this, or waiting for the current science establishment to relinquish these facts, will never happen. Because they've built their entire scientific enterprise around these ideas that we are debunking, that we are calling into question. And so they cannot call them into question. They cannot go and double check their work. They cannot do the scientific method. At whatever point they decided to go forward with the ball Earth that doesn't match observations, that doesn't match our curvature measurements, that doesn't match our observations of mountains at 300 miles and 160 miles, and when they didn't change, even though there were signs that things were not correct, when they decided to go forward, because for whatever reason they didn't want to go backward, even though that is what science is, well, then that's on them. But it's our job then to step forward and say enough is enough, because we're just giving them the ability to say whatever they want and people just follow it. Even though people like myself and many other great researchers are pointing out all the evidence that tells you, that screams that we have all fallen for a mathematical construct, not a reality. There is no reality to space travel. There is no reality to moon travel. There is no reality to moonwalks. There's no reality to Stephen Branson putting hotels in space. There is no reality to Juno orbits around Jupiter. There's no reality or truth in the Pluto missions. There's no reality or truth in Cassini. They've never been to Venus. There certainly is no rover on Mars, and there absolutely is no Starman in a Tesla Roadster in outer space. And the quicker you can make that decision for yourself and do your own research and reach the right conclusion, the better. Or you can put your trust and faith in Brian Cox and Bill Nye and Michio Kaku, people who could not possibly even begin to look into the things that we're saying are not true, because it calls into question their entire industry. And believe me, they're going to do everything in their power to keep their positions of power, to keep their significance and their fame. The last thing those guys are interested in is the truth. And that is the truth. Speaking of people who have absolutely zero interest in the truth, let's talk about the site metabunk.org and its owner, debunker extraordinaire and government shill, Mick West, who has now, I don't know, 4 or 5 times kicked me off of his site because I make posts calling into question their basic debunking skills, which are non-existent. They're lies. They just dismiss things that have no reason to be dismissed. And we're going to show you one particular incident here. This is regarding the Kanagawa observations. And so I went to the forum, this is about a year ago, and dropped a picture and started speaking about it. And let's take a look at what Mick West had to say about it. It is interesting, as always. Does he have a clue? I don't think so. All right, so I dropped the image, and he came back, and he is a Wikipedian. That is his religion. And so he dropped a link to his holy site. It's basically like the Vatican for him. And the quote is, "On the horizon, refraction is slightly greater than the apparent diameter of the sun. So when the bottom of the sun's disk appears to touch the horizon, the sun's true altitude is negative. If the atmosphere suddenly vanished, the sun would too." All right, here's what Mick wrote. He said, "So when the sun is touching the horizon, the real horizon is just above the top of the sun, about here. That is not at all what the Wikipedia said." Let's read again. It says, "On the horizon, refraction is slightly greater than the apparent diameter of the sun. So when the bottom of the sun's disk appears to touch the horizon," okay, so we're looking off at the horizon and the bottom of the disk just starts to touch it, "the sun's true altitude is negative." So the correct way to respond to that is not, so when the sun is touching the horizon, the real horizon is just above the top of the sun? No, sorry. That's the real horizon is where the horizon is, and the sun is below that. That's why it's a negative. He just drew a line on top of that as if I'm supposed to think that's the horizon line? I don't get it. Okay, I hate to even venture down this road. Mick, are you saying that black horizon line, I guess it is what you're saying, you said when the sun is touching the horizon, which it is there, that the quote-unquote real horizon is on top of the sun about here. So that's the real horizon? So now not only do you believe in the levitation of mountains miles high, you also believe in a see-through wall of ocean that we are seeing through because of magical refraction. I mean, should I go drop a pen and see if you believe in the magic of gravity too? This is a little bit much here, Mick. I mean, you can't really believe that. Well, then again, Mick West does believe that 19 box cutter carrying Arabs attacked the United States on September 11th by somehow taking over 4 passenger jets and somehow navigating them all the way back to crash 2 of them into the World Trade Center, 1 of them into the Pentagon, and then also crashing 1 into a field, and then also magically having a passport escape out the window of one of those planes and land on a street nearby. If Mick West did care about the truth, believe me, he'd be asking tons more questions about Larry Silverstein and his shady insurance deals. He'd be asking way more questions about the trillions of dollars that Donald Rumsfeld had announced was missing the day before, and why it just so happened that the office where all that paperwork was destroyed in the 9/11 attacks. He would ask those questions. I mean, forget the free fall speeds. He'd be asking the questions like, why haven't we seen 1 surveillance video out of the 20 plus security cameras attached to the front of the Pentagon, as it is the most secure building in the world? Have you seen a security cam footage from? Me neither. So it doesn't shock me. I mean, it really doesn't. The steps these guys will go to hold on to and protect their religious adherence and belief is certainly frightening. Now let's see this person's comment. Pretty funny. Let's hear this one. He says, "A careful observation of any sunset or moonset will show the atmospheric refraction." Okay, and how do we know it's atmospheric refraction? It says here, in its way towards the horizon, the sun and moon flatten and slow down. So we can call that atmospheric refraction, even though we don't see it on anything else. We don't see flattening of things like that. But then we could also think about the flat Earth theory that requires the sun to be going in a circle above your head and leaving your area due to perspective, which seems to match the idea that the moon and sun slow down as they go away from you and flatten out, considering they're on a flat level sky above. So next time you're at the beach, take a look at or anywhere, I guess for that matter, when you're looking at a sunset, and you'll see the sun do what the orange disk is doing there on the top. As it's a circle, then it gets a little bit oblong, and it looks like an egg, then it gets flatter, 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 as it goes away from you and slows down. They will have you believe that the yellow disk, the yellow one is the sun, and I guess you're to believe that it's way down there when it's really looking flat to you. We're just magically seeing around curves. All this stuff that's so fantastical, so magical, so special, so unbelievable, so, I don't know, something from nothing, so Big Bang, so relative. You know, it's just really amazing. The physics are amazing. Great science. All right, so now just to finish off about refraction, we know what they say, that the true position of the sun on the left-hand side, the bottom circle, versus the perceived position. Basically, you have that sun ray coming in, hitting an atmospheric layer, slowing down, slowing down, slowing down until it hits the observer on Earth. And the observer on Earth, since he's looking out in that direction, where's the most amount of atmosphere for him? It's definitely at the far end of his reaches, because he's got to look through all that thick, murky atmosphere. And so, to him, it's lower like it is there. But basically, this tells you that things in the distance bow down, not up. If they bow up, it's because it's a mirage. It's a superior mirage. It's a Fata Morgana. It's a reflection. All right, and real quickly, I will prove to you that things do bend down. All right, so recently I did a little experiment. What you see there is painter's tape. I just taped it on the countertop. So you're looking at the wall of my counter, and then you're looking at the reflection of those blue pieces of tape in the countertop itself. Now, you may see a bend, almost a soundly like Pontchartrain bend. Well, what is that all about? I mean, why are we seeing that? Looks like a bend. It looks like it's bending down into the corner there. Is there a hump in my kitchen? Am I living on a sphere? Are my countertop spheres and I didn't know it? Not exactly. The reason that we're seeing this bend, we'll call it the Pontchartrain bend, that's because I'm viewing this through a square box of water to kind of model the idea of distant atmosphere. And that causes the bending. And if you think about the layer that sits on top of the ocean, sits on top of Lake Pontchartrain and other lakes, that little distortion there is enough to cause this bend. So we'll take one last look at a couple images from Kanagawa. Just type that into your search and you'll see tons of real photographs taken by real people. Fly there yourself and take a picture if you'd like. I'd like to. But, you know, to just believe in stories of space but then call questioning this stupid, in my opinion, is a gross, gross misstep. Really bad one, in fact. So I totally recommend that you take a look at that website, Beyond Horizons, and then also do some measurements of your own. Find some nice flat land, some distant landmarks, and see if you can see further, because it seems that everybody who tries does. Now, this is one I get all the time, the question of all questions, which still makes absolutely no sense, because you've got the people questioning it admitting defeat. For instance, in this image here showing these buildings, I believe we're looking into Toronto. And here's the issue that I have, is somebody says here, where's the missing 300 feet? Well, why don't you worry about how many feet are supposed to be covered by your globe and not just take whatever you can get? Like, I bet there's 300 there. This is the globe, because it's got to be covered by the water, which makes no sense. I mean, picture that line there being water, which is above the building. It would just spill on the buildings. We know how water works. You don't have balls of water rolling around, huge curvature of the whole earth of water. It just doesn't happen. And to show you what does happen, I have some images. So let's look at these. Okay, and just so you know, this is a sideways view, as if we were looking from New York to Toronto across the water. So our observers there on the right in New York looking at these buildings. And we know that there is a layer of atmospheric junk, distortion. It's going to be the very murky and wet kind of in-between spot between the cold air and the cold water, or the warm air and the cold water. And it works as a lens. You can go to Rob Skiba's video where he has an interview with a scientist who says that that's what it does. The lens magnifies. So I drew a little white line there to kind of give you an idea. If that was a magnifying lens, what would it be magnifying for our observer on the right? Well, it's going to magnify everything behind it, right? Which is going to include, from our observer's perspective, the ocean water, because that's what's going to be magnified by the magnifying glass first. It's going to create one of these looks. From the observer's standpoint, the water rises up to eye level, which is simply because you're looking through the lens at eye level. And of course, if you went higher up on the right-hand side, you could see more because you look over and past that top layer. As far as refraction, we still should discuss that. But basically, it should be simple at this point. Things in the distance don't bend up, don't push up, they bend down. So last but not least, we've been looking at all these beautiful real pictures of Canigao from across the water, 170 miles, and other such locations. So I decided to type in planets to be our heading out moment. And here you go. This is what you believe in. Remember that we're morons. We are dumb. We are idiots. And this world considers you smart when you believe in cartoons. That's what they've done to you. That's what they've done to me. That's what they've done to us. And give some credit to those of us fighting our hardest against the very people we're trying to save by telling everybody there is no proof of space travel. Zero. There is no proof they're in space now. There is no proof they've ever been to the moon. There is no proof there's a craft on Mars. There is no proof that there's one in Jupiter orbit. It's all CGI, manipulation, mind control, brain F, if you know what I'm saying. Look at the screen now and realize you have to believe in that. It's the worst religion of all. By far. Oh, scientism. You suck. Thank you, patrons. Thank you, friends. Thank you, viewers. If you enjoyed the video, please share it with your social media. I would appreciate that. If you'd like to join the Patreon, it's patreon.com/Jeranism. And if you'd like to donate to help keep this channel going strong and putting out more great content, then please do me a favor. Go to paypal.me/Jeran, Jeran, and they will take care of the rest. Again, I appreciate you guys watching. Be kind to each other. Don't lie. And do your own research, because if you do, you'll never believe what you've been taught. Till next time. Peace.